Hello, my name is Phil Richards, and you are watching the Dr. Fox Effect channel. Before we begin, let's remember what the Dr. Fox Effect is. This effect means that when a lecturer speaks very convincingly and engagingly, it can hide from the listeners the fact that the lecture material may be useless or made up. However, listeners may feel like they have learned something. So, let's get started. Idea 1. The illusion of light and fast money. Fast money on the exchange. The author promotes the idea of rapid enrichment through speculative transactions on the exchange, not taking into account the risks and possible losses. Excerpt. Before the company entering the market, we buy 100,000 shares of 25 cents per share. 6 months later, the company is included in the listing, registered on the exchange, and these shares are already worth $2. If the company is well managed, the price continues to grow, and the shares can rise to $20 or even higher, that our 25,000 turn into a million in less than a year. This is the author's delusion because the game on the exchange, especially using speculative transactions, is fraught with large financial risks. Not all companies achieve success in the market, and such investments can lead to serious losses. Following this advice can lead to financial problems and even to the loss of all invested funds. Counsel to society: avoid speculative transactions on the exchange and do not consider them as a quick way of enrichment. It is better to invest in long-term stable assets, develop financial literacy, and make deliberate decisions. Idea 2. The idea that in order to make money, you need to have money. The author claims that for successful investment, you need only a few dollars that can be gradually turned into a solid state. This creates the illusion that there are sufficiently small funds and a little financial intelligence to become rich. Money is just an idea. It can be said to be a big one in the same way. Counsel to society: do not believe the illusions that for successful investing small means. Investing requires serious knowledge, analysis, and risk. Do not rely only on luck and do not risk with the last money, following the advice that promise light and fast ways to wealth. Idea 3. Investing in the shares for a short time. The author offers to invest in the shares of companies for a short time, waiting for quick profit. He claims that on average of 10 investments, he makes a profit for 2 or 3, and the rest incur losses. This can lead to a loss of large amounts of money, since investment for a short time is fraught with large risks, especially for inexperienced investors. Excerptus from the book. Often my broker calls me and advises to invest a solid amount in the company's campaign, which apparently it is about to take a step that will increase its quotes. For example, I will introduce my money from a week to a month while the shares are growing in price because my money is again for me and are ready to work in other assets. This is the author's delusion, since investing for a short time requires great experience, knowledge, and analysts, and is also associated with high risks of money loss. You should not play on the exchange if there is no necessary knowledge and experience. Counsel to society: investing for a short time requires serious knowledge and experience, so before making such decisions, it is worth contacting professionals and studying the market. Do not risk large amounts of money if there is no confidence in your actions. Idea 4. The invention of money. The author calls for dubious financial transactions that can lead to serious consequences. An excerpt from the book. I lent my friend $2,000 for 3 months, promising him to return $200 more, and gave the lawyer a bank check as a first contribution for a mortgage loan of $20,000. While the deal was drawn up, I gave an announcement in the newspaper for the sale of such an expensive house for only $60,000 without paying in cash. The phone called without stopping. A list of promising buyers was compiled, and as soon as the house became my legal property, they all were invited to inspect it. Real excitement began. The house was sold in just a couple of minutes. I requested $2,500 for drawing up a transaction that I was handed right away. 2,000 of them and 200 from above I returned to a friend. He was satisfied, as well as the buyer of the house, a lawyer, and myself. I sold a house for $60,000, which cost me only $20,000. These $40,000 were created in my asset column in the form of a buyer's debt receipt. Explanation: the author offers dubious financial fraud, such as lending money from a friend at a high percentage, selling a house that does not belong to the author, etc. These actions can lead to serious legal issues, the loss of the trust of others, and even criminal liability. Counsel to the company: do not follow the author's advice, and do not try to invent money through dubious financial transactions. Idea 5. Disadvantages of the educational system. The author claims that the education system is ineffective, since teachers in schools and colleges are mainly engaged in lectures that are boring and uninteresting. He proposes to replace lectures with games and modeling life situations. Since 1984, I have earned millions just doing what our education system does not do. Teachers in schools and colleges are mainly engaged in the fact that they give lectures. During my studies, I hated lectures. I quickly became boring, and I was distracted. In 1984, I began to teach people with the help of games and modeling life situations, and still rely on these tools. This is a misconception, since lectures can be an effective teaching method, and games and modeling are not always able to convey the necessary knowledge and skills. Relying exclusively on games in education can lead to insufficient assimilation of material and unpreparedness to real challenges of life. Counsel for society: do not completely deny the value of lectures and traditional teaching methods. It is important to combine various approaches for the maximum effectiveness of the educational process. The author says that since 1984, it has earned millions doing something that is not included in the education program. Tip: be careful with coaches who claim to earn what they teach others in business. Often such coaches themselves earn in training and not on real business experience. They can transmit theoretical knowledge gained from various sources, but it is not necessary to have a successful business that they refer to. It is important to check the details of their business, which, according to them, brings the main income. Idea 6. The principle of tithe. The author advises to give money, smiles, love, and friendship to other people, claiming that this will return to you in many times. Quote, "Both of my father were my teachers. I have learned a lesson in The Rich Dad for Life about the need for life, about the need to engage in charity, or give people. An educated dad gave people a lot of his time and knowledge, but he almost never gave them money. It's extremely my rich dad who gave money and knowledge in the principle of church or some charity organization. Whenever you lack something or you need something, first give it to others, and you will be rewarded with 100-fold. This rule is applicable to money, smiles, love, and friendship. I understand that sometimes I want to do this the least, but this method always helped me. I just believe in the principle of reversibility and give what I need. When I need money, I give it, and they return to me in many times. When I need to increase sales, I help someone else sell something, after which the volume of my sales jumps up sharply. When I need connections, I help someone else find the right people, and useful connections appear in me as if by magic. Many years ago, I heard a wise saying, "God does not need to be received, but people need to be given." My rich dad often said, "The poor are more prone to greed than the rich." He explained that when a person is rich, he gives other people what they want. This principle can lead to irrational spending of money, energy, and time for charity or help to others, waiting for repeated return. In reality, this may not work, and a person runs the risk of being financial difficulties due to this approach. In addition, the idea that the poor are more prone to greed than the rich are exaggerated and does not reflect reality. Some business trainers and coaches say that in order to achieve success, you need to be ready to share their resources and money. However, often the goal is to earn more money on their students, motivating them to share finances with the coach in the hope that this will lead to even greater material success. Idea 7. Idealing defeats as a source of inspiration for victory. The author claims that lesions can become a source of inspiration for victory, that they can motivate to improve and achieve success. However, such idealizing lesions can lead to an underestimation of their negative consequences, as well as create a danger of repeating errors. Excerpts from the book. Texas do not forget about their defeats. They draw inspiration into them. They make a fighting cry from defeats. The defeat inspires the Texas to win, but this is not only the Texas. All the winners do this. For winners, the defeat becomes a source of inspiration. For losers, defeat means a crash of hopes. This approach can lead to the fact that people will consider defeats as something positive without paying due attention to the lessons that they can give. This can lead to a repetition of errors and ineffective actions in the future. Tip for society: do not idealize defeats. It is important to learn from them so as not to repeat mistakes in the future. Idea 8. Underestimation of the importance of education and constant learning. Fast-acting formulas and recipes for quick earnings. Search for formulas for quick earnings. Almost all colleges of the lower level organize financial planning courses and purchase traditional investments. They are good for starters, but I am always looking for the fast-acting formulas, quickly. This skill has become truly invaluable. The author claims that it is important not to know, but to be able to quickly earn money. Look for fast-acting formulas and recipes for this. This can lead to the fact that people will look for easy ways to wealth, ignoring the importance of education, constant training, and accumulation of knowledge in the financial sphere. This approach can lead to the risk of loss of money and financial problems in the future. Counsel to society: do not look for quick formulas for earnings. Invest in your education. Constantly learn and develop in the financial sphere to make reasonable financial decisions. Idea 9. Real estate and investment. Profit is created at the time of purchase, not sales. He told me that he was waiting for lifting housing prices. I explained to him that the profit is created at the time of purchase, not sales. This is the author's error, because the profit from investment in real estate can be both when buying and when selling. It is important to be able to correctly choose objects for investment and be able to rationally sell them in order to get maximum profit. Following the author's advice can lead to a missing opportunity to earn on lifting housing prices or other investment capabilities. Counsel of the company: you should not completely trust the author's allegations that the profit is created only at the time of purchase. It is necessary to study the market and accept informed solutions. It is important to understand that profit can be obtained both when buying and selling real estate investments. Idea 10. Underestimation of investment risks. The use of stop-loss of orders as a way of minimizing losses. If people understood what stop was on the stock exchange, they would invest in order to win and not in order not to lose. Stop is just a computer team for the automatic sale of your shares at the moment when the price begins to fall. The author's advice that the stop losses help minimize losses can lead to the fact that investors will ignore a fundamental analysis and rely solely on automatic sales when the price of shares falls. This can lead to an omission of the opportunity to get long-term profit from investment, since the funds market are subject to fluctuations and corrections that can be temporary. The use of stop flashes of orders without a proper understanding of risks can lead to losses and missed capabilities. It is important to understand that the use of stop heading orders can be a useful risk management tool, but you should not fully rely on them. Investors need to carry out a fundamental analysis and have an investment strategy based on knowledge and analysis, and not just automatic sales when the price of shares falls. Idea 11. Investing in the shares of small companies. The author believes that investing in the shares of small companies is more attractive than in large companies, as he prefers freedom of entrepreneurship, corporate discipline. He claims that the risk of investing in small companies can be minimized if investments bring pleasure and understanding of what money is invested in. Investing in the shares of small companies can be extremely risky, since such companies often do not have proper transparency in their activities and can also be unstable and subject to great fluctuations in the market. The author's assertion that the risk can be minimized if the investments are enjoyed can lead to serious financial losses from investors who may be blindly passionate about the idea and not take into account all aspects of investment in small companies. The study of companies before investing, as well as diversify the investment portfolio to reduce risks. Idea 12. Investing without risk will not lead to wealth. The author claims that safe investments are not designed to win, but only on preserving capital. He calls to focus on achieving the goal and not worry about maintaining a sustainable balance, ignoring the importance of diversification and minimizing risks. The main mistake of the author is that he emphasizes the need to play the victory, ignoring the importance of maintaining capital and minimizing risks. This can lead to serious financial losses and bankruptcy if people follow his advice and invest all funds in highly risked assets, ignoring diversification and safe investments. Council of Society, you should not ignore the importance of diversification and minimizing risks in investing. Idea 13. Lack of formal education in investment. The author claims that secondary investors consider investing a risky business due to a lack of formal education. He offers to use board games for teaching basic principles of investment. However, the game cannot always convey the real risks and complexity of investment that may arise in practice. The real world of investment is much more complicated and unpredictable than a board game. An excerpt from the book. Medium investors consider investing a risky business because they do not receive a formal education necessary to become professional investors. This misconception of the author can lead to the fact that people will think that it is enough just to play training games in order to become successful investors, without paying due attention to the study of real financial markets and tools. Counsel to society. To study investing, it is important to contact verified sources, take specialized courses, and study with professionals in this field, and not rely solely on training games. Idea 14. Disadvantages of investment in reliable enterprises. The author claims that investing in reliable enterprises is ineffective, as they usually bring minimal profit. He advises looking for more risky transactions that can bring more income. An excerpt from the book. The problem with reliable investments is that they are often reorganized, that is, they are made so safe that their profitability is reduced to a minimum. This is a misconception, since investing in reliable enterprises can be a good way to earn money, especially for beginners or those who do not want to take risks. Risky transactions can lead to big losses, especially if a person does not have sufficient experience and knowledge in this area. Counsel to society. Invest your money reasonably, evaluate your risks, and choose investments that correspond to your level of knowledge and comfort. It is not necessary to look for only highly profitable but risky transactions. Sometimes reliable investments can be more preferable. Idea 15. Promotion of the idea of education as a useless institute. The author claims that education does not matter, that school needs to avoid and learn sales, marketing, copywriting, and PR. It also calls for a change in the educational system. These ideas can lead to an underestimation of the importance of education, to a decrease in the value of knowledge and education in society, as well as to the formation of a negative attitude to school and educational institutions. Excerpts from the book. 1. When I first suggested the publishing house my book, "If you want to become rich and happy, do not go to school," the publisher suggested that I change the name to the Economics of Education. 2. I specifically chose a title that could make me a hero of many television and radio programs simply because I wanted to cause disputes. These excerpts show that the author calls for the neglect of the formation and use of provocative headings to attract attention, even if this leads to an underestimation of the importance of education. Counsel to society. You should not completely ignore education and call for its refusal. Education is important for personal development, career growth, and successful life. It is necessary to appreciate knowledge and education, as well as strive to obtain and improve them. Idea 16. Unethical practice of insider trade. The author offers to use insider information for trading in the stock market, claiming that this will help make a profit with a minimum risk. However, insider trade is considered illegal and unacceptable, as this gives some investors an advantage at the expense of others, which distorts market conditions and leads to inequality. This is an unacceptable idea that can lead to serious legal consequences for those who will follow this advice. Counsel to society. Do not engage in insider trade. Follow the law and ethical principles in investing. Idea 17. Failure in business up to 30 years as a path to success. The author advises to go bankrupt up to 30 years, then to get to your feet again. This is a dangerous advice, since bankruptcy can lead to serious financial problems, loss of reputation, and partners' trust. Moreover, failure in business is not necessarily successful, and many entrepreneurs are faced with serious difficulties after bankruptcy. An excerpt from the book. The rich dad believed that it was better to go bankrupt to 30 years. Then you will still have time to get to your feet again, he advised. This passage shows that the author considers to go bankrupt up to 30 years by normal, which can even be useful. In fact, bankruptcy is a serious problem that can cause great damage both financially and morally. Counsel to society should not strive for bankruptcy as a way to achieve success. It is important to think about your financial decisions, study the market and business processes in order to avoid collapse and achieve stable success in business. Idea 18. Pay well to your brokers. The power of good advice. The author believes that it is important to generously pay for the services of brokers, since their professionalism should bring you money. He claims that the money spent on the broker will pay off thanks to the information and transactions that he will help to commit. High payment guarantees quality services. To avoid the negative impact of this idea on your life, always analyze the services of brokers. Compare the offers of different specialists. Do not trust blindly expensive services, and remember that it is important not only the amount of money spent, but also the quality of the services received. Idea 19. Unjustified stimulation of fear and pressure from the state and creditors. The author offers to use fear of the state and creditors as a motivation for making money, claiming that this will make a person stronger and smarter financially. He compares this with training in the gym for mental muscles. However, this approach is based on stimulating fear and pressure, which can lead to constant stress, anxiety, and instability. It can also lead to negative consequences for human health, both physical and mental. An excerpt from the book. To make yourself think about how to make more money is the same as going to the gym and pull iron. The more I exercise the muscles of my brain, the stronger I become. Now I am not afraid of hooligans. This passage shows that the author calls to use fear and pressure as motivation for making money, which can lead to negative consequences for a person in terms of health and well-being. Counsel of society. It is important to strive to achieve financial independence, not out of fear or pressure, but from determination, planning, and reasonable investments. Do not use fear as the main engine to achieve financial goals, as this can lead to negative consequences for health and well-being. Idea 20. Insufficient attention to education and a call to ignore higher education. The author calls to ignore higher education and learn to be rich, learn how money works, and force them to work for themselves. This can lead to an underestimation of the importance of education and career, as well as to neglect professional skills. Excerpt from the book. Although both treated education and training with proper respect, they did not agree on the purpose of training. One wanted me to study well, received a higher education, and find a good job to make money. He wanted me to make me, he became a lawyer, an accountant, or manager. This is the author's delusion, since higher education can give not only knowledge, but also develop critical thinking, analytical abilities, and other skills that can be useful in career and business. Ignoring education can lead to limited opportunities in the future. Counsel to society. Do not ignore the importance of education. Strive to gain knowledge and professional skills that will help you in career and personal growth. Idea 21. Disadvantages of the theory of learning on errors. Studying on mistakes is the only way to achieve success. We learn to walk, falling. Hurrying never, the child will learn to walk. The same can be said about cycling. My knees are on my knees. There are still scars, but I am sitting on a bicycle and without hesitation. An integral part of the process of success, avoiding failures, also avoids successes. This is the author's error, because studying in mistakes is a good way, but it is not the only one to study the experience of others, to seek advice on experts, to avoid obvious mistakes, not to lose time and resources. Experienced people study not only your mistakes, but also the mistakes of others to move towards success more efficiently. Idea 22. The need to give money free of charge to increase wealth. Give and get it. The author claims that in order to increase wealth, it is necessary to give money free of charge, citing the Rockefeller Foundation and Ford Foundation as an example. This is a misconception, since the gratuitous distribution of money is not a universal way of accumulating wealth. In reality, to achieve financial well-being, it is necessary to be able to invest, save, develop their financial knowledge and skills. An excerpt from the book. They are designed to increase their wealth and at the same time give it out for free. This error of the author can lead to an improper understanding of the principles of wealth and investment, as well as insufficient financial literacy. People following this idea can risk their savings, distributing them without a proper understanding of investment risks. Counsel to society. It is important to develop financial literacy, study the principles of investment and financial management, as well as consult with financial experts before making serious financial decisions. Idea 23. Inaccurate information about the tax advantages of corporations and protection against court claims. The author claims that the creation of the corporation will circumvent tax obligations and protect its assets from court claims. However, this can lead to serious consequences, since such actions can be regarded as tax evasion and illegal evasion of obligations to creditors. In addition, the use of a corporation to hide assets from lawsuits may be illegal and lead to serious legal consequences. Excerpts from the book. The corporation earns, spends everything that can, and then pays taxes with what is left. This is one of the largest legal tax on the rich. In order to protect their assets from creditors, the rich hide most of their condition in corporations and trust funds. This misconception of the author can lead to serious legal problems, tax fines, and loss of trust from the state and society. Counsel of the company. Do not use corporations or other legal schemes to evade taxes or hide assets from creditors. It is better to observe laws and honestly fulfill your duties. Idea 24. The lack of financial education as a cause of financial problems of the middle class. The author claims that the main reason for the financial problems of the middle class is their insufficient financial education. He claims that people with a high level of income are faced with financial difficulties due to lack of knowledge on how to properly manage their finances. Excerpts from the book. Such a life is full of risky situations, and its reason is insufficient financial education. But the main tragedy is that the lack of primary financial education among ordinary representatives of the secondary class exposes them even more risk. This is the author's error, because financial education, of course, is important, but it is not the only reason for financial problems. There are much more factors affecting the financial situation of a person, including taxation system, economic environment, access to resources and capabilities, income level, and much more. Counsel to society. It is important to have financial knowledge, but it is also necessary to take into account other factors that affect the financial situation. Develop your financial skills, but remember that only education does not guarantee financial well-being. Idea 25. The lack of specialization. The author claims that concentration in a narrow specialization leads to dependence on his specialty, while a versatile education and experience will help to take control of the company. We often argued, but he did not agree with that the need for trade unions is caused by a too narrow specialization. He did not understand that the narrower specialist a person becomes, the more he begins to depend on his specialty. This is the author's delusion, since a narrow specialization in a certain field can bring more success and income than a versatile education. Various knowledge can be useful, but a deep examination in a certain field also has great value. You should strive for a balance between a narrow specialization and general education, based on their goals and needs in the labor market. Idea 26. The lack of understanding the process of buying real estate. The author advises to make as many proposals as possible to buy real estate, even if they are unreasonably low, claiming that you can find profitable transactions in this way. This can lead to disappointment, loss of time and money, as well as to violation of trust from sellers. In this passage, The author advises to make proposals for the purchase of real estate for all objects, even if the price of supply is much lower than the requested. This can cause a negative reaction among sellers, real estate agents, and lead to the loss of the opportunity to make a profitable transaction. It should be remembered that it is important to adequately assess the market value of the object and offer reasonable prices. Otherwise, you can lose trust and respect from other participants in the transaction. Idea 27. The shortcomings of technical investment. The author promotes technical investment as a way of earnings, claiming that technical investors make more money and are more confident in themselves. This can lead to an incorrect understanding of investments and risks, as well as to loss of money in the market. Removing profit from financial markets using complex tools, such as short sales and options, requires a high level of knowledge and experience. Inexperienced investors can lose all their funds. Following the advice of the author, investments in complex financial instruments can be extremely risky and not suitable for everyone. It is recommended to seek consultations to financial experts, and not risk means that you cannot afford to lose. Idea 28. Disadvantages of financial security tips offered by the author. The author claims that in order to achieve financial security, it is necessary to pay maximum attention to your own business and acquire assets. He criticizes the idea of increasing salaries, advanced training courses, or work in the second job, considering them ineffective to achieve financial independence. However, the author does not take into account that not all people are given to be successful entrepreneurs, and sometimes an increase in income through increasing salaries or additional work may be the only way to improve their financial situation. In addition, the author does not take into account that doing his own business also carries risks and requires certain skills and knowledge that not everyone has. An excerpt from the book. In order to achieve financial security, a person must pay maximum attention to his own business. The focus of your business should not be a column of income, but a column of assets. This misconception of the author can lead to the fact that people will ignore other ways to improve their financial situation, as well as take risks trying to create their own business without the necessary knowledge and experience. Counsel to the company. You should not blindly follow the author's advice and ignore other ways to improve the financial situation, such as advanced training, increasing income through work on the side, or other investment opportunities. It is necessary to evaluate your abilities and risks before making a decision to create your own business. Idea 29. Disadvantages of understanding of assets and liabilities. A liability is what takes out money from my pocket. Asset is what brings money to my pocket. And that's all you need to know. If you want to get rich, just try to always buy assets. If you want to be a representative of the poor or middle class, buy liabilities all your life. Assets and liabilities are not only that which brings or takes money, they bring stable income, while the assets may not be as profitable as they seem to be in assets. The counsel of the society, in order to avoid the negative impact of this idea on their lives, to seek financial advice to professionals, to study financial literacy, and not rely only on simplified definitions of assets and liabilities. Idea 30. The disadvantages of corporations and the tax system. The treatment of corporations and taxes. Kiyosaki claims that corporations are just legal documents, not real organizations, and that the rich use corporations to evade taxes. He also criticizes the idea to learn to find a stable to work, arguing that this will not help achieve financial independence due to high taxes and inequality in society. This is a delusion, since corporations are real legal entities that may have a significant impact on the economy and society, that the formation is the formation and stable work does not matter, can lead to improper financial decisions, and ignore the importance of education and labor activity. It is important to develop critical thinking and financial literacy. Study the tax system and rules of the game in the economy, as well as strive for education and professional development to achieve financial independence. Idea 31. Disadvantages of a mortgage. Buying real estate using test financing and mortgage. An excerpt from the book. He accepted our proposal on the move and agreed to the test financing with the first contribution of 10%. My friend had to pay only $7,000. As soon as the former owner left, my friend began to hand over the house after paying all the costs, including a mortgage. The house began to bring him about $125. The author's idea that buying real estate using test financing and mortgage is a good option can lead to serious financial problems. A mortgage is a long-term obligation that bears risks in case of a change in the financial situation of the buyer. In addition, renting a house for rent also does not always bring stable income, since problems with tenants or real estate service may arise. The sale of a house in a few years also does not guarantee profit, since the real estate market may change. Counsel to the company. Before buying real estate, carefully study all financial aspects, calculate your capabilities and risks. Do not rely exclusively on friends or consultants. Conduct an independent study and consult financial experts. Idea 32. Disadvantages of deposit certificates. Investing in tax certificates as a safe alternative to deposit certificates. An excerpt from a book where the author claims that investing in the certificates of the tax collateral brings 16% per annum, which is the best option compared to 5% per annum offered by the bank. The author claims that these certificates are provided with real estate, protected by state laws, and are absolutely safe, although not very liquid. This is the author's error, because investment in the certificates of the tax pledge carries certain risks, such as the risk of default, the risk of changes in legislation, and the risk of low liquidity, that all investments bear certain risks. Idea 33. Underestimation of education and the adoption of violence as a way of learning. The author claims that life is the best teacher who does not waste time talking, but simply hits and strikes to teach a person. He says that if a person will learn life lessons, then he will be fine. Otherwise, life will continue to beat him. The author also claims that some people rejoice at the blows of life, since every blow means that they need to learn something new. This approach is unacceptable, since the adoption of violence and pain as a method of learning is extremely dangerous and erroneous. Life should not be a constant struggle and suffering so that a person can learn something. Education, conversations, self-improvement, this is what helps a person develop and grow, and not constant blows of fate. Counsel to society. Do not accept violence and suffering as a norm of training. Education, self-improvement, and conversation. These are the keys to development and success, and not constant tests and pain. Idea 34. Unscrupulous financial schemes. The author proposes to use schemes that can be unscrupulous and illegal, such as deprivation of debtors of the right to repurchase the laid real estate. This can lead to serious legal problems and negative consequences for all participants in the transaction. The promotion to the use of such schemes is harmful not only to the financial stability of society, but also to moral principles. Counsel to society. Always follow the law and ethical principles in financial transactions. Do not enter into dubious and unfair transactions, even if it seems that this will bring quick money. Idea 35. Real estate is like a liability, not an asset. The author claims that the house should be considered a passive, not an asset, since it brings only expenses, not income. This can mislead people and push away from the purchase of real estate as an investment. In fact, real estate can be an excellent investment that brings a stable income in the form of rent or increase the cost of an object. An excerpt from the book. If my wife and I decided to buy a more spacious and expensive house, it would be clear to us that this is not an asset, but a liability, because such investment makes money flow out of our pocket. This misconception of the author can lead to the fact that people will avoid investing in real estate, not seeing in this the potential to create passive income. Counsel to society. You should not completely deny real estate as an asset, since it can bring stable income and increase capital. Before buying real estate, it is important to analyze the market and consider all possible investment options. Idea 36. Idealization of tax care. The author promotes tax departure, justifying this by the fact that the rich use corporations to reduce risks and increase their wealth. But the promotion of tax evasion is illegal and harmful to society, since taxes' important social significance. ensuring the functioning of the state, financing of education, healthcare, social protection, and other important areas. Acts, since it is illegal and harmful to society, it is better to observe laws and pay taxes, thus contributing to the development of the country and ensuring the social needs of citizens. Idea 37. Buying real estate for leasing as a way of quick enrichment. The author offers to buy real estate, rent, and sell it with profit in the future, using methods such as a non-core exchange according to the rule of 1031. However, this approach does not take into account possible risks associated with the real estate market, a change in the economic situation, as well as additional services for maintenance and real estate management. Excerpts from the book. I paid the owner $5,000 in cash for the house, which cost me $45,000. A year later, the real estate market in Oregon went sharply. I sold this small house for $95,000 to newlyweds from California. This passage shows that the author considers the purchase of real estate for renting and subsequent sale for a higher price to a good way to earn money. However, this approach may be risky due to possible fluctuations in the real estate market and other factors. Counsel to society. Before investing in real estate, it is necessary to carefully study the market, consider all possible risks and additional expenses, as well as have spare funds in case of unforeseen circumstances. Idea 38. Insufficient understanding of assets and liabilities. The author claims that the key to wealth lies in understanding the difference between assets and liabilities. He claims that the rich acquire assets, while the poor and middle class acquire liabilities that they consider with assets. The author believes that if a person understands this difference and begins to purchase assets, then he will become rich. However, such a statement is simplified and does not reflect all the complexity of financial planning. Passes can also be important for diversification of the investment portfolio and ensuring income stability. An excerpt from the book. The rich acquire assets. The poor and the middle class acquire liabilities that are considered assets, said the rich dad. This misconception of the author can lead to the fact that people will begin to ignore the importance of diversification of the investment portfolio and concentrate exclusively on the acquisition of assets, which can lead to the risk of loss of funds as a result of unexpected changes in the market. Counsel to society. It is important to understand that financial literacy includes not only the difference between assets and liabilities, but also the ability to properly manage your finances, diversify investments, and consider each situation individually. Idea 39. The idealization of the heroes, imitation of the heroes as a way of learning. In childhood, I admired the famous baseball players, Willie Mays, Hank Aaron, Yogi Berra. They were my heroes, and I dreamed of becoming like them. Imitating the heroes, we connect to an inexhaustible source of genius, and also to create the illusion of ease of success, not taking into account the real difficulties and efforts that are necessary to achieve goals. Counsel of society. It is important to be inspired by heroes, but not to idealize them. Idea 40. The recoil leads to a return. The author claims that if you give something, it will certainly return to you in some form. This is the principle of karma in the field of finance and relations. This is a delusion, since in reality it does not always operate on the principle of return. This can create false expectations and disappointments. Counsel to society. Remember that there are different situations in life, and the return does not always lead to a return. It is important to be prepared for the fact that some people may not appreciate your generosity or cannot reciprocate. 4. Teach and will be given to you. The author advises others to learn more and receive new ideas. He also claims that the more you teach, the more you learn yourself. This is a delusion, since the doctrine of others does not always lead to personal growth and the acquisition of new knowledge. Sometimes people can use you without giving you anything in return. In addition, it is important to remember that their own training and self-development also play an important role in obtaining new knowledge. Counsel of society. Remember that it is important to find a balance between the teachings of others and your own training. Do not forget to develop yourself, and not just through the training of others. Idea 41. The illusion of enrichment through overcoming laziness and refusing to relax. The author claims that if a person does not succeed, then the reason is in his laziness, the lack of motivation, and the desire to work without interruptions. In his opinion, it is important to constantly work and not give yourself a rest to get rich. If a person is constantly working, ignoring his needs for rest and relaxation, this can lead to chronic fatigue, stress, and ultimately to burnout, health, and mental state. Council of Society. It is important to find a balance between work and rest. Respect your needs and not sacrifice your own health and well-being in pursuit of material income. Idea 42. The idealization of entrepreneurship as the only way to achieve financial success. The author claims that most working people will never be able to improve their financial situation and invites young people to look for work, thinking more about what they can learn than how much they can do. But at the same time, the author does not take into account that entrepreneurship does not suit everyone, and also does not take into account the importance of stability and confidence in the future, which can give work in a reliable company. In this passage, the author idealizes entrepreneurship, not considering that not everyone is capable. This type of activity can lead to the fact that people will risk their welfare trying to become entrepreneurs without having skills or resources to remember that work in a reliable company can also provide stable income and financial security. They advise young people to be versatile, to consider their capabilities and goals, not to idealize only entrepreneurship, and also take into account the importance of stability and confidence in the future when choosing a career. Idea 43. Game in the purchase and sale as an exciting game. The author claims that the sale of real estate or other goods is just an exciting game in which you need to make offers without constraint and not accept everything too seriously. He even gives an absurd example with communication with the cat as a business partner. The fact that the game in the purchase and sale is not always exciting and harmless, as the author tries to show, do not forget about the seriousness of such transactions and always act honestly and responsibly. Idea 44. Idea of passive income. The author claims that it is important to have sources of passive income so that the money works for you and not you work for money. Our money works for us. This is a delusion because the author does not take into account the risks of investment and the need for constant monitoring and managing the passive income are possible, but requires serious knowledge and skills in the field of investment, and not just leaving money on autopilot, that in order to obtain passive income, it is necessary to have financial literacy. So before investing, it is worth studying this area and consulting financial experts. The idea that taxes are created only to punish the rich. The author claims that taxes were introduced only to punish the rich, but in fact, taxes carry a social function, ensuring the functioning of the state and public needs. Such statements may lead to distrust of the tax system and the wrong understanding of the role of taxes in society. The author here distorts the real purpose of taxes and creates a negative attitude to the tax system. It can adversely affect the development of the state and society as a whole. Council of Society, in order to avoid the negative impact of this idea on its life, not to accept on faith the statements that taxes are created only to punish the rich, but to understand that taxes are important, the social function is necessary to ensure the functioning of the state and public needs. Idea 46. The idea that education is not important. The main thing is flexibility and new ideas. The author claims that the main wealth is not education, but flexibility and openness for new ideas. This can lead to the fact that people will neglect education, considering it less important than the desire for earnings. However, education plays a key role in the formation of thinking, personality development, and a successful career. Council of Society. Do not forget that education is of great importance for your personal and professional development. Flexibility and new ideas are important, but do not neglect education. Idea 47. Real estate investing as a way of rapid enrichment. The author claims that investing in real estate is a quick way to enrich, gives an example of a successful transaction with a house, the price of which has grown significantly in a short period of time. My wife and I are not agents in trade. We are engaged in real estate. When we found an interesting option in a good area, we called the agent who sold this house to our friend with 2 bedrooms. That time in 65,000, pleased with a profitable deal, returned to Boston. The author claims that investment in real estate can bring fast and significant income, but does not take into account the risks associated with the real estate market, the ability to lose their investigated funds for changes in the prices in the market or other factors. This can lead to serious financial losses in people who will decide to follow the author's advice. Counsel of the Society, in order to avoid the negative impact of this idea on their lives, not to invest all their funds in one asset. Diversify the investment portfolio. Apply for consultations to financial experts before making serious financial decisions. Idea 48. Information as the main source of wealth. The author claims that the main source of wealth is today information, and that those who owns the most modern information are the richest. 300 years ago, the earth was the main source of wealth. Therefore, the one who owned land was considered rich. Subsequently, the main source of wealth was industrial production, which allowed America to occupy a dominant position in the world. The richest people became industrialists. Today, the main source of wealth is information, and in the first places in the lists of the richest were those who owns the most modern information. This is the error of the author, because wealth does not depend exclusively on information. Wealth can be created in various ways, not only through information. The author's statement can lead to the fact that people will focus exclusively in search of information, ignoring other important aspects of wealth and success in life. Counsel of Society, in order to avoid the negative impact of this idea on their life, to remember that wealth and success depend on various factors and not just from information. It is important to develop their abilities and skills versatile, not limited only to the search for information. Idea 49. The use of material goods as a way of control over people. The author offers to use money to control other people, showing that even the weakest and most poor part of the soul can be bought. This is a distorted idea of values and morality. It is obvious that the use of money for manipulating and controlling them is a negative and harmful approach. The Counsel of Counsel to Society, in order to avoid the negative impact of this idea on their lives, strive for the respect, trust, and support of other people, not at the expense of material wealth, but due to sincerity, honesty, and kindness. Idea 50. Success's story begins with small. The author claims that all large companies on the exchange began with small, that the action is always better than inaction. Curses examples of success, such as Colonel Sanders and Bill Gates, to show that you need to start acting now, without delay for later. Little people are small because they act alone or do nothing at all. This is a misconception. Since the success of each person depends on many factors, including luck, circumstances, education, support from others, etc., it should be blindly believed that success will come, starting with a small one. Idea 51. Sources of fear and doubt. The author claims that fear and doubts paralyze us, interfering with moving forward and acting. He describes the situation when surrounding people remind us of our shortcomings, which leads to insomnia, void in the stomach, and dull longing. He also claims that external sources, such as friends, relatives, colleagues, and media, can create noise in our heads, distracting us from reasonable actions, because fear and doubt are natural emotions that can help us evaluate risks and take careful decisions. As a person, Counsel of Society, in order to avoid the negative impact of this idea on your life, is not to ignore your fears and doubts, but rather use them as a motivation for the development and adoption of balanced decisions. It is also important to be able to distinguish constructive criticism from negative comments and not allow fear to paralyze us, depriving us of the opportunity to move forward. Idea 52. The need to master the skills of sales and marketing. The author claims that in order to achieve success in any area of life, it is necessary to own sales and marketing skills, as these are the most important skills. He believes that most people are difficult to master these skills due to fear refusal. Sales and marketing skills are important, but to argue that they are the most important and that without them it is impossible to achieve success in any field of life is an exaggeration that people will focus on these skills, ignoring other important aspects of personality and career development. It is advised to develop not only sales and marketing skills, but also other skills, which are also important to achieve success in various areas of life. Idea 53. Definition of wealth. The author offers the definition of wealth as the ability of a person to live without work, which is a misunderstanding of the concept of wealth. In the passage, the author offers the definition of wealth as the ability of a person to live without work. This is fundamentally incorrect understanding of wealth, since wealth is not, it comes to financial independence and the ability not to work. The Council of the Society, in order to avoid the negative impact of this idea on its life, to remember that wealth includes not only financial independence, but also other aspects of life, such as health, family, spiritual development, etc., harmony in all areas of life, and not just the accumulation of material assets. Idea 54. Underestimation of the importance of financial literacy. The author claims that you need to focus on what you do not want to do in order to succeed. He gives an example of real estate where he does not want to engage in the repair of toilets, so he finds the manager. However, this approach can lead to the fact that a person completely ignores the importance of financial literacy and independent management of his investment. This can lead to loss of control over their finances and confidence in inexperienced managers, which ultimately can lead to financial losses. Counsel to society. It is important not only to delegate responsibility, but also to understand your finances, investments, and make reasonable decisions. Do not fully rely on managers, but it is better to learn financial literacy and control the investment process. Idea 55. The underestimation of the professional skills of brokers and other specialists. The author claims that most brokers and other specialists have no property or shares, which makes them incompetent. He advises choosing specialists who have close interests in property, ignoring their professional skills and experience. Book Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki, Chapter 6. This is the misconception of the author because the presence of property or actions, the specialist is not always an indicator of his professionalism and qualifications. The choice of a specialist should be based on his experience, knowledge, and reputation, and not just on the availability of personal assets. This can lead to the incorrect choice of a specialist and financial losses. Counsel of the company in order to choose specialists on the basis of their professional skills, work experience, and reputation, and not just the availability of property or shares. Idea 56. Insufficient understanding of the differences between types of income. Rich do not work for money. They know how to make money work for themselves. Labor income is the money for which you work, and passive and portfolio income is the money that works for you. Excerpts of the text from the book. The rich do not work for money. They know how to make money work for yourself. Labor income is the money for which you work, and passive and portfolio income is the money that work for you. It claims that rich people do not work at all, but only invest their money. Idea 57. 3. Real estate and shares. Buying real estate for a short time to increase profit. The author advises to buy real estate for a short time, changing cheap buildings to more expensive ones to postpone the terms of income taxes. This may lead to speculations in the real estate market, creating a bubble and instability in the market. Counsel of society, do not speculate in the real estate market, but to purchase real estate with a long-term investment prospect. Idea 58. Using examples for financial growth. The author claims that he uses real estate and shares of small companies for financial growth, while not recommending others to follow his example, but at the same time gives 5 reasons for using examples that may mislead readers and push them to risky investments without proper preparation. In this passage, the author describes his methods of financial growth through investment in real estate and shares of small companies, while calls not to follow his example, but at the same time claims that the use of examples inspires to study and shows the simplicity of achievement financial success. This can lead to the fact that readers can decide on risky investments without sufficient knowledge and experience, which can lead to financial losses. Counsel of Society. Before investing, be sure to get knowledge and consult with financial experts. Do not follow someone's examples or blindly, especially if you do not have enough experience in this area. Idea 59. History of the Alamo Mission. The author claims that the defeat can be turned into victory, that failure will only make a person stronger and smarter. This can lead to an illusion that failures always lead to success, that you can count on luck in any situation, that there is no need to be afraid of risk, since even in case of defeat, you can turn it into victory. That any failure can be turned into success, which can lead to serious financial problems and losses for people who will follow this advice. Evaluating all possible consequences, not to rely on luck, but to develop reasonable strategies and plans for action. Idea 60. Financial IQ. The author claims that financial independence depends on the financial IQ, which consists of knowledge in 4 areas: accounting, investment, understanding of markets, and legislation. Without these financial knowledge, which I call financial IQ, or it would be much more difficult for me to achieve financial independence. Now I'm learning others in the hope that I can share this knowledge with them. This is a delusion because financial independence depends not only on knowledge in these areas, but also on the financial discipline, the ability to manage your finances, invest correctly, and make reasonable financial decisions. To argue that only knowledge in accounting, investment, understanding of markets and legislation can lead to financial independence is incorrect and dangerous. Counsel of Society. Financial independence depends not only on knowledge in narrow areas, but also on financial discipline, the ability to control, with your finances, investing correctly, and make reasonable financial decisions. Idea 61. The misconception of money as an illusion and fiction. The rich dad claims that money is an illusion, fiction, and that the masses of people believe in this illusion. He suggests that money does not have real value and that rich people make money without work. This misconception can lead to an incorrect understanding of the role of money in the economy and society, as well as the illusion of ease of enrichment without effort. Excerpts from the book. Then he explained that the rich know money is an illusion, just like a carrot for a donkey. Millions of people believe that the money is real, and their fear and greed support this illusion. Continue to work, guys. But the faster you forget about the salary, the easier it will be for you to live when you grow up. This misconception can lead to the fact that people will begin to treat money without proper attention and responsibility, look for easy methods of enrichment, ignoring the need for labor and effort to achieve financial well-being. Counsel to Society. It is important to remember that money has real value and are an instrument of exchange of goods and services. You should not fall into the trap of the illusion of light enrichment without work and effort. It is necessary to appreciate work and learn financial literacy in order to achieve stable financial well-being. Idea 62. Underestimation of stable work and pensions. Propaganda of entrepreneurship as the only path to financial freedom. The rich dad claims that working people who cling to stable work and dream of pension are trapped and live in the illusion. He suggests that the only way to achieve financial freedom is to become an entrepreneur. This can lead to an underestimation of stable work, pension savings, and financial security, as well as create the illusion that entrepreneurship is the only right path to success. Counsel to Society. Do not underestimate stable work and pension savings. Develop financial literacy and consider various ways to achieve financial freedom, including investment, training, and development of professional skills. Idea 63. Lack of respect for personal choice and time. The author offers the idea that you need to quickly make decisions and not waste time thinking. This can lead to the fact that people will take hasty steps without weighing all the pros and cons, which ultimately can lead to negative consequences. Counsel to Society. It is important to be able to make deliberate decisions, not rush, but carefully weigh all aspects of the situation before taking the final choice. Idea 64. Insufficient understanding of investments. The author offers to make jogging or walks in areas where I would like to invest in real estate in order to notice changes and advantageous opportunities. He also claims that consumers will always be poor and that profit brings purchase, not sale. These tips can lead to an incorrect understanding of investments and risky decisions. Excerpts from the book. 1. So I found some of my best real estate investments. 2. Consumers will always be poor. 3. Remember, profit brings purchase, not sale. These ideas can lead to the fact that people will begin to invest in real estate without a sufficient understanding of the market and risks. Believe that consumers will always be poor can lead to improper financial decisions, and the statement that the profit is only purchased and not the sale can lead to an underestimation of the importance of the ability to correctly sell assets. Counsel to society. It is important to learn financial literacy, understand the investment market and risks before making investment decisions. You should not rely on simplified tips and ideas, especially if they do not correspond to the reality of financial markets. Idea 65. The error in the thinking, studying something makes you an expert in this area. The author claims that the study of a certain area automatically makes you an expert in this area, which is not true. This may lead to self-deception and underestimation of the need for long and hard work for achievements of a high level of skill. In other words, the author believes that it is enough to study some area to become an expert in it. The author, they may encounter disappointment and failures due to the underestimation of the complexity of the learning process. Idea 66. The rich do not work for money. The author claims that the rich forces money to work for themselves, while the poor and middle class work for money. This creates the illusion that it is enough just to learn how to force money to work for themselves to become rich, ignoring the importance of education, hard work, financial literacy, and other key skills. The author's father advises him to learn how to make money, but does not provide specific instructions or strategies. It is not a real plan of action. Counsel for society. Do not neglect education, financial literacy, and hard work. Wealth comes not only from the ability to force money to work for itself, but also from a set of qualities and skills that need to be developed. Idea 67. Money should work for you. The author claims that it is important to learn how to force money for you, use consumer desires to search for profitable investments. At the same time, the author emphasizes that it is easier to take a loan and buy something on credit, but he chose another. The path has concentrated on assets and did not increase the liner of the liability. The myth that money can easily and quickly bring income without risk, you can use consumer desires for investing, can lead to risky financial decisions and loss of money. It is important to remember that investing requires reasonable solutions, knowledge and understanding of risks, to form in this area to make informed investment decisions. Idea 68. Suppression of the desire to have material benefits. The author claims that greed and the desire for new things is a normal phenomenon that needs to be developed. He criticizes parents who suppress this desire in children and calls to ask the question not, I can't do it myself allow, and how can I afford it? A passage from the book. Many of us in childhood said that greed is bad. Greedy people are bad. My mother inspired me. But inside everyone, there is an indestructible desire to have beautiful, new, or interesting things. The author believes that the suppression of the desire to have material benefits can lead to negative consequences, such as a lack of financial education and possibilities. Counsel of society. It is important to teach children a healthy attitude to money, material benefits, and the desire to improve their financial situation. However, it is also important to teach children the values of frugality, responsibility, and the ability to save money for the future. Idea 69. Buying luxury items as a way of teaching financial literacy. The author offers to use the desire to have a teenager's car in order to teach him to invest in stocks. However, this approach can be dangerous, since the game on the exchange requires certain knowledge and experience, and not it is a game of luck, as training in personal finances, the basics of investing in real estate or funds. Idea 70. Financial stability as a key to wealth. The author claims that if a person cannot control the power of self-discipline, he better not even try to become rich. He claims that the main reason for poverty and financial difficulties is weak psychological stability. To know that in theory, it is easy to increase the cash flow from the asset column, but in practice, the whole difficulty is to develop the psychological stability necessary in order to direct money along the right path with weak psychological stability, the least resistance. This is the author's delusion, because poverty and financial difficulties can be caused by various factors and not just weak psychological stability. It is incorrect to become rich only with a high psychological stability. This can lead to an underestimation of other important qualities and skills necessary to achieve financial well-being. Council of Society: do not evaluate a person and his ability to become rich exclusively in terms of psychological stability. Other qualities, skills, and circumstances are also important. Idea 71. The misconception of money as an unrealistic thing that we agreed to count, and the need to develop a financial genius for rapid enrichment. The author claims that money is not a really existing thing, but only an agreement. This misconception can lead to an incorrect understanding of the role of money in the economy and society. The development of financial genius should not be aimed exclusively at rapid enrichment, as this can lead to greed, self-interest, and lack of ethics in the business of making money. Excerpts from the book. You will be sure of the reality of money, the more diligent you will work for them. But if you manage to understand that money is not a really existing thing, you can get rich much faster. This is what we agreed to count it. The rich dad answered, I do it because I want to make money quickly, not because I need it, but because I want it, because I like this fascinating learning process. I develop my financial IQ because I want to take part in the most rapid and largest game in the world. This misconception of the author can lead to an incorrect attitude to money, as well as a lack of ethics in financial matters. People can begin to strive for enrichment at any cost, not taking into account the moral and ethical aspects of making money. Counsel to society: it is important to remember that money is a real resource that has value in the economy. It is important to develop financial literacy and the ability to manage money, but do not forget about ethics, honesty, and respect for other people in the process of earnings and multiplying your wealth. Idea 72. Ignoring the opinions of poor or frightened people. Do not listen to the opinion of poor or frightened people. The author advises to ignore the opinion of poor people and not listen to their advice, since they, in his opinion, cannot give the right tips on money and investment. Excerpts from the book. Warning: do not listen to the opinion of poor or frightened people. The problem is that many listen to their opinion, but those who blindly accept gloomy forecasts on faith also become chicks. This is the error of the author, since wealth or financial success does not always mean wisdom or correctness of judgments. Poor people can give valuable advice and have valuable life experience that should be taken into account. Ignoring their opinion can lead to an omission of important information or capabilities. Counsel to society: it is important to listen to different points of view, regardless of the financial situation of a person, and draw your own reasonable conclusions, taking into account all aspects of the situation. Idea 73. The illusion: money is not important. The author claims that people who say that they are not interested in money contradict themselves, as they work anyway. The rich dad believes that emotions should be used in their interests and not suppress it. They contradict themselves. If they are not interested in the money, why do they work then? In such people, the psyche is probably upset than those who are obsessed with passion for accumulation. I just want to say that fear is too much often controls thoughts. The author here claims that people who say that they are not interested in money actually contradict themselves, as they still work. However, this is a delusion. Since there are people who really value other aspects of life above material goods, the use of emotions to the detriment of the mind can lead to rash decisions and errors. Counsel of society: it is important to find a balance between emotions and reason, preventing emotions from fully managing our solutions, especially in financial matters. Idea 74. The illusion of financial independence based on fear and greed. The author offers the idea that most people drive fear and greed, and that they will always fall into a vicious circle of work, paying bills and consumption. The rich dad claims that by offering people more money, they will only increase their expenses, and that there is another method that only a few discover. However, he does not offer specific actions to change the situation, but only supports the illusion of financial independence based on fear and greed. Excerpts from the book. Most people can be bought if you offer a good price. This is because we are driven by powerful fear and greed. People's lives are always controlled by fear and greed. Offer them more money, and they will run even faster, this circle, increasing their expenses. This is the author's misconception, since financial independence is not achieved only due to fear and greed, but requires financial literacy, the ability to manage your finances, invest and create a passive income. Following the author can lead to an increase in consumer behavior and incorrect financial management. Advice to society: strive for financial literacy, invest, create a passive income. Do not allow fear and greed to manage your finances. Idea 75: real estate as the only way to achieve financial independence. The author claims that real estate is a unique tool for achieving financial independence. He criticizes those who do not want to engage in repairs or real estate management, calling them pessimists. This can lead to the fact that people will invest all their funds in real estate without understanding the risks and possible problems associated with this type of investment. Excerpt from the book. Real estate is a powerful investment tool for everyone who wants to achieve financial independence or freedom. This is the author's delusion, because financial independence can be achieved in various ways, and investments in real estate have their own risks and require certain knowledge and skills. It is recommended to study various types of investments in versatile and not put all the eggs in one basket in order to protect yourself from losses. Counsel to society: study various types of investments, understand their features and risks. Do not invest all funds in one type of asset. Idea 76: real estate as the main business. Rich are concentrated on a column of assets, while everyone else is interested only in a column of income. The author claims that the main business of Ray Kroc, the founder of McDonald's, was real estate, not fast food. This can mislead readers, pushing them to the idea that in order to achieve financial success, you need to focus on investing in real estate, ignoring other opportunities. In reality, various investments and sources of income can be more effective and suitable for a particular person. My business is real estate. Ray Kroc claimed that his business was in real estate and not in fast food. However, this is not entirely true, since the McDonald's company is engaged in the sale of food, not real estate. The author's statement can mislead readers, pushing them to the idea that the main source of wealth is real estate investment, ignoring other opportunities for earnings. Counsel of society: do not blindly follow the author's ideas that real estate should be the main source of wealth. It is important to study various types of investments and sources of income, choosing those that are suitable for you and your goals. Idea 77: underestimation of the importance of fair wages. The rich dad claims that the need to pay more for their work is just fear, and that more money will not solve the problem. He also claims that most people receiving more money increase their debts. These statements can lead to the fact that people will agree to low wages, not trying to improve their financial situation, and will not require fair payment for their work. Excerpt from the book. Some say that I am exploiting people because I do not cry as much as Sugar Plantation or the state, and I think they are exploiting themselves. This is their fear, not mine. Most people, receiving more money, increase their debts. This error of the author can lead to the fact that people will humble themselves with low wages, will not strive to improve their financial situation, and will not require fair payment for their work. Counsel to society: it is important to value your work and demand fair payment for it. Do not agree to low payment out of fear or belief that more money will not solve the problem. Idea 78: underestimation of the importance of financial responsibility and call for risky actions. The author advises not to allow increasing debts, holding low-level expenses, not spending savings or selling investments. and also not to pay bills in order to inspire a financial genius to find new ways to get money. This can lead to the accumulation of debts, financial problems, and even bankruptcy. Such risky actions can seriously harm the financial well-being of a person. Do not allow your debts to be paid for threatening sizes. Hold the cost of low levels. First, create a column of assets, and only then buy a large house or a luxurious car. Fronting and running out of your interests. When you do not have enough money, let the pressure grow and do not rush to spend savings or sell investments. Let the pressure inspire your financial genius to search for new ways to get money, and when he finds it, pay the bills. Counsel to the society. It is important to monitor your finances, prevent your debts, rationally distribute funds, pay bills on time, and not to risk financial well-being for the sake of unjustified actions. Idea 79. Underestimation of education and business schools. The author claims that schools do not teach people to handle money correctly and also criticizes business schools, calling graduates by money accounting cars. He believes that people who are able to use their emotions for thinking and not just able to count money should manage the company. Such a statement can lead to an underestimation of the importance of education, specialized knowledge, and skills in the field of business. Emotions are important, but without professional knowledge and skills, the successful management of the company becomes difficult. An excerpt from the book. But business schools are too often released by specialists who differ a little from cars for the money account. Learn to use your emotions in order to think, and not vice versa. Think based on emotions. This error of the author can lead to the fact that people will underestimate the importance of education, professional knowledge, and skills in the field of business, as well as overestimate the role of emotions in decision-making. Counsel of society. Not to underestimate the importance of education and professional knowledge in the field of business, as well as the ability to analyze the situation not only on the basis of emotions, but also on the basis of facts and examination. Idea 80. Underestimation of equity. The author claims that adding personal belongings to the asset column when filling out an application for a loan will help improve the financial situation. However, this is a wrong statement, since personal items, such as costumes, hours, golf clubs, are not real assets that can bring income or increase capital. In addition, the author advises to evaluate his own capital at the value of personal things, which can lead to the illusion of wealth and underestimation of the real financial situation. Excerpts from the book. When once I myself applied for a loan, it seemed to me that my financial situation did not look impressive enough. Then I added my new golf clubs, a collection of works of art, books, household electronics, Armani costumes, wristwatch, shoes, and other personal use items. Explanation. Personal items are not real assets that can bring income or increase capital. Assessment of equity in the cost of personal belongings can lead to an underestimation of the real financial situation. Counsel to society. Evaluate your own capital and financial situation based on real assets that can bring income and not from the value of personal things. Do not forget to distinguish between real assets and personal things. Idea 81. Underestimation of specialization and narrow specialization. The author suggests not striving for a narrow specialization, but instead work for training and not for the sake of money. He claims that the main management skills necessary for success include the ability to manage a cash flow, systems, and people, as well as the ability to sell and knowledge of marketing. The author believes that specialization can lead to a restriction of choice and vulnerability in a professional plan. An excerpt from the book. As I said, the higher the level of qualifications of my educated pope became, the more he had to work. The more he specialized, the less chance he had to break out of the trap of rat runaways. This is the author's delusion, since a narrow specialization in a certain field allows you to become an expert and increase its value in the labor market. Work for the sake of training and not for the sake of money can lead to financial difficulties and instability. The ability to sell and knowledge of marketing is important, but are not the only key skills for success. Counsel to society. Strive for in-depth specialization in the selected area. Develop key skills that are in demand in the labor market and not forget about financial stability. Idea 82. Disadvantages of investment in real estate to the detriment of other types of investments. The author claims that the investment of all money in the house can lead to a loss of time, additional capital, and education. He believes that too often people consider the house their only asset, which prevents them from investing in other types of assets and developing financially. Excerpts from the book. The biggest losses are associated with lost opportunities. If all your money is invested in the house, then you may have to work more because the money constantly goes to the expenses column instead of increasing the asset column. But too often, the house is only a means to take a loan secured by housing to cover growing expenses. This is the author's delusion, since investing in real estate can be one of the ways to diversify the investment portfolio. However, the investment of all funds in the house can really lead to lost opportunities for capital growth. The author also underestimates the role of real estate as a stable asset, which can bring passive income. Counsel to society. Do not completely concentrate all your investments only in real estate. It is important to diversify the investment portfolio by investing not only in real estate, but also in other types of assets, such as securities, business, etc. Idea 83. The disadvantages of hired labor. The author represents hired work as an ineffective way of earnings that deprives people of the opportunity to force money to work for themselves. He claims that most employees do not receive their money entirely due to taxes and deductions, which makes their life to such an endless circle of labor and taxes. Excerpts from the book. If you work for money, this will be your life, like many other people, said the rich dad. Oh God, of course, the rich dad answered. First, the state takes its share at first. How does it do it? I asked. This is a delusion, since hired work is an important source of income for many people. Without work, many people could not provide themselves and their families. In addition, taxes and deductions go to finance social programs, education, healthcare, and other important spheres of society. Counsel of society. Do not neglect hired work and think that it is ineffective. It is important to appreciate your work and properly dispose of earned funds, and also understand that tax payments are civil debt and bears important social significance. Idea 84. Disadvantages of hired work and owning your own house. The author offers to focus all forces on the purchase of assets that can bring income and claims that investment is not a risky occupation. He also talks about the possibility of profit from investment to infinity. Excerpts from the book. 1. As I already said at the beginning of this chapter, the most important rule is to understand the difference between assets and liabilities. As soon as you learn this, focus all your strength on the purchase of assets that can bring income. This is the best first step on ways to create wealth. 2. If you do what everything is doing, then you will receive the following picture. If you are an employee and owner of your own home, then your labor efforts are usually distributed as follows. 1. Working for the company. Employees make the owner of their enterprise rich or shareholders. This is the author's misconception, because investment always has risks, and investing in speculative investments with a promise of profit to infinity can lead to financial losses. In addition, the author underestimates the risks and overestimates the possibilities of investing. Counsel to society. Invest your money consciously, conducting a thorough analysis of the risks and the potential yield of investment. Do not believe the promises of quick and huge profits without proper verification and evaluation. Idea 85. Disadvantages of the educational system. The illusion of professional success through obtaining higher education. According to the author, the modern educational system does not prepare people for their own business, but only forms labor working for money. The author claims that the profession and business are different things, and different things, and different things. That only his own business can make a person rich. This creates the illusion that obtaining higher education and work in the specialty will not lead to financial success, and that the only way to wealth is the conduct of their own business. Counsel for society. Do not neglect the education and neglect the development of professional skills. Idea 86. The shortcomings of the statement, I cannot afford it, Exercises for the brain help to earn more money. The rich should pay more taxes. The author offers the idea that the statement, "I can't afford it," leads to the fact that the brain is automatically turned off, and that the exercises for the brain help to earn more money. This can lead to the fact that people will ignore their real financial capabilities, striving for something unattainable, and engage in self-deception instead of reasonable planning and financial management. The author also expresses the opinion that the rich must pay more taxes in order to take care of those who are less fortunate. This can lead to a distortion of ideas about taxation, encourage dependence on the state, and not stimulate personal responsibility for their well-being. Excerpts from the book. The one of my fathers, who soon got rich, explained that as soon as a person says, "I can't afford it," his brain automatically turns off. My brain becomes stronger every day because I exercise it, and the stronger it is, the more money I can do. One believed that the rich should pay more taxes in order to take care of those who were less fortunate. These ideas can lead to an irrational attitude to money, self-deception, and insufficient financial literacy. People can begin to ignore their real opportunities and responsibility for their well-being, as well as rely on the state instead of personal financial independence. The Council of the Society, in order to avoid the negative impact of these ideas on their lives, is to develop financial literacy based on real opportunities and planning, as well as accept the tax system as part of public debt and not as a means of redistribution of wealth. Idea 87. The disadvantages of studying by the rich dad. The idea that work is just a short-term solution to a long-term problem. Most people are too afraid to think carefully and run to work that they hate. They are captured by a resin-one stuffed animal. What do I mean when I say that you need to choose your thoughts? This idea of the author can lead to the fact that people will deny the importance of work and will look for easy ways to success, not realizing that sometimes you need to make efforts and work to achieve goals. This can lead to laziness, to develop and strive for self-realization through professional activities. Council of Society. It is important to remember that work is not only a way to earn money, but also a way of self-realization, development, and achievement of goals. Do not deny the importance of hard work and labor on the way to success. Idea 88. The shortcomings of the school system of education. Fear and ignorance are the main cause of poverty or financial difficulties, and not the economy, the state, or the rich. People fall into the trap due to fear and ignorance, whose power they give themselves. So guys, go to school and study in college that from two fathers I can learn about completely different but very important things. These excerpts from the book can mislead readers that the main cause of poverty is fear and ignorance, and not external factors, such as the economic system, social inequality, access to education, and capabilities. Such a statement can lead to ignoring systemic problems and disadvantages, as well as create a false idea that education at school and college is a panacea from all financial difficulties. Council for Society. You should not accept the idea that the main cause of poverty is fear and ignorance. It is necessary to take into account the various factors affecting the financial situation of people and strive for systemic changes and not just look for ways to personally avoid traps. Idea 89. Lack of education about money. The author claims that financial education is more important than money by themselves. He believes that knowledge of the principles of the work of money allows you to manage it and become richer. However, the author does not take into account that financial literacy is important, but it is not a guarantor of financial well-being. It is also important to take into account financial discipline, the ability to manage your emotions and desires, as well as the ability to invest money. Just knowledge of how money works does not guarantee financial success. An excerpt from the book. Money is one of the incarnations of force. But financial education has even more power. Money comes and goes, but if you know how they work, then you can control it and become richer. This misconception of the author can lead to the fact that people will focus exclusively on theoretical knowledge about money, without developing practical management skills with finances, which can lead to financial losses and failures. It is important to not only have theoretical knowledge of money, but also to develop financial discipline, the ability to manage your emotions and desires, as well as the ability to invest money to achieve financial well-being. Idea 90. The lack of finance is the need to find money for investment. The author claims that in order to become a successful investor, you need to learn how to find money and overcome the barrier in the form of a lack of their own funds. This may lead to the fact that people will look for ways to borrow money without taking into account their financial ability and risks associated with debts. Idea 91. Lack of financial education, misconception about taxes, and work for money. The rich dad claims that the main reason for the problems with money is insufficient financial education, as well as that people do not learn to force money to work for themselves. He offers the boy to return to work and not receive a salary anymore to learn this lesson. It means that my father has problems with taxes because he does not understand what money is? I asked, perplexed. You know, the rich dad began, taxes are just a small share of teaching how to force money to work to myself. This is a misconception that problems with money and taxes arise due to a lack of financial education. In reality, the causes of financial problems can be much more complex and multifaceted than just a lack of knowledge about money. The approach, do not receive a salary in order to learn how to force money to work for yourself, can lead to financial difficulties and instability. Council of Society. It is important to have financial education, but it is also necessary to take into account other aspects of financial well-being, such as the ability to manage the budget, invest, plan for the future. Do not neglect a stable source of income in the pursuit of making money for yourself. Idea 92. Lack of financial education. The author claims that the main reason for the financial problems of people is the lack of financial education. He believes that people do not know how to properly manage earned money, do not understand how to make money work for themselves, and do not know about the cash flow. The author suggests that in order to solve financial problems, it is necessary to have financial abilities and the ability to properly manage money. School graduates do not get financial skills. Millions of educated people successfully begin their careers, but subsequently face financial problems. This is the author's error, that the main reason for financial problems is the lack of financial education. Financial literacy is important, but is not the only factor in success. The problem of financial difficulties most often lies in the lack of the ability to manage their expenses, greed, unreasonable investments, etc. The possession of financial knowledge does not guarantee financial well-being if there is no financial discipline and the ability to make reasonable financial decisions. The Council of the Society, in order to avoid the negative impact of this idea on their life, in addition to financial education, it is important to develop financial discipline, the ability to control their expenses, invest reasonably, and make deliberate financial decisions. Idea 93. Lack of financial literacy as a cause of financial failures. The author claims that the main reason for financial failures is the lack of financial literacy. He gives an example of professional athletes who earn millions, but then lose all due to a lack of financial literacy. However, this statement is simplified and does not take into account other important aspects, such as risk management, investment, planning, etc. The lack of financial literacy, of course, can lead to financial problems, but this is not the only reason. An excerpt from the book. If you want to become rich, you need to be financially competent. This is the author's error, because financial literacy is important, but is not the only factor in success in finance. It is also important to be able to correctly manage your income, invest, plan in the long term, and manage risks. Counsel to society. Financial literacy is important, but in addition to it, it is necessary to develop risk management skills, investment, planning, and other financial skills to achieve success in the field of finance. Idea 94. The lack of financial literacy in children. The author claims that the children graduate from the school without receiving basic financial education, which leads to the fact that they are trying to quickly get rich without having the necessary knowledge and skills. This can lead to financial failures and debts, as in the case of a falling tower instead of a skyscraper. Children graduate from school without even receiving basic financial education. They replenish the army of holy in the American dream of suburban people districts, and once, getting bogged down in debt and tormented by insomnia, they decide that with all of them, financial problems can be dealt with if you find a way to get rich quickly, and then they are accepted to build a skyscraper. The building is growing rapidly, but soon it turns out that instead of the empire-last building, they got a falling tower. Sleepless nights return. This is the author's delusion, since financial literacy is not limited only to knowledge of accounting. It is important to understand a wide range of financial instruments, be able to manage risks, understand investments, etc. The author's approval that accounting is one of the most important items for getting rich is a narrow look at financial literacy. Counsel of the Society. Do not limit yourself only to knowledge of accounting. Develop a wide range of financial knowledge to successfully manage your finances and avoid financial failures. Do not try to get rich quickly, but build your financial knowledge and skills gradually. Idea 95. Lack of financial literacy. The rich dad claims that most people spend the best years of their lives working for money and not understanding who or what they work for. He believes that people are afraid to take risks, preferring to act without risk. This gives the impression that the author considers work for money ineffective and inappropriate, and also neglect people who prefer stability and safety. This passage can lead to the idea that work for money is useless, and financial literacy and the ability to earn money is the only right path. However, this is an extremely simplified representation, since work not only brings income, but can also give a person satisfaction, development, social ties, and other benefits. Counsel to Society. You should not neglect work for money and consider it useless. It is important to develop financial literacy, but also value other aspects of life that can bring joy and satisfaction. Idea 96. The lack of financial knowledge in the poor and the middle class. The author claims that rich people actively use various legal methods of reducing taxes, such as Article 1031 of the U.S. Tax Code, in order to save more money at home. However, he believes that the poor and representatives of the middle class do not have such knowledge and resources. Therefore, they pay high taxes and miss the opportunity to increase their assets. Excerpts from the book. The poor and representatives of the middle class do not have such resources. They sit back and allow the state to insert a needle into Vienna and suck their blood. This is the author's delusion, since not all rich people use such methods of tax evasion, and not all poor and middle class do not have knowledge in the field of taxation. Such tips can lead to negative consequences, such as violation of legislation and persecution by tax authorities. Counsel to the company. It is important to apply for advice on taxation professionals in order to pay taxes correctly and not violate the legislation. You should not use tax evasion schemes, as this can lead to serious problems in the future. Idea 97. Unjustified neglect of debts and taxes. The author advises minimizing income, not paying taxes, not to get into debts, not to worry about debts, and also not to sell assets to pay off debts. This can lead to serious financial problems, fines, a deterioration in credit history, and as a result, to bankruptcy. Excerpt from the book. I minimize my income because I do not want to give them to the state. I do not pay in accounts last. Occasionally, my expenses exceed income, but even then, I still pay myself, first of all. We just do not scare this pressure, do not spend our savings, and do not sell shares to pay off the debt on a consumer loan. These tips can lead to financial problems, negative consequences, and even the loss of property. It is better to follow the laws, pay taxes, take care of debts, and not abuse loans. Counsel to Society. It is important to responsibly treat finances, pay taxes, do not avoid debts, monitor your credit history, and not abuse loans. Idea 98. An unjustified statement that most people do not want to be rich. The author claims that most people do not want to be rich due to the fact that it is too troublesome for 90% of the population. This is a misconception, since many people strive for financial independence and well-being, but they can interfere with various circumstances, lack of knowledge, or opportunities. An excerpt from the book. Most people do not want to be rich. This choice is explained by the fact that for 90% of the population to be rich, too troublesome. This misconception of the author can lead to the fact that people will consider that the desire for wealth is useless and laborious, which can hold them from the development and achievement of financial well-being. Council of Society. Do not believe in the statements that most people do not want to be rich due to difficulties. Everyone has the right to financial well-being, and the desire for it is a natural stromites to this. Idea 99. Buying luxury items as an investment reward. True luxury is a reward for investing money in a real asset and increased it. For example, when my wife and I began to receive more money from our apartment buildings, she went and bought herself Mercedes. The idea that the purchase of luxury items is a reward for investments can lead to people to spend money on expensive things without a stable source of income. Buying luxury items should not be the main purpose of investing. Council of Society. Before buying luxury items, make sure you have a stable source of income and enough investments to ensure financial stability. Idea 100. The transformation of labor income into passive or portfolio income. The assertion that the key to wealth is to quickly turn labor income into passive or portfolio income. A rich dad claims that taxes from labor income are higher than passive, and therefore we must strive. In the investment and creation of passive income sources, this can lead to the importance of the work and development of professional skills, as well as to ignore the risks associated with investments. It is not exclusively investing in passive assets. We advise society to develop financial literacy, diversify the sources of income, invest in education and professional development, as well as consciously approach investments, studying the risks and features of each tool. Idea 101. Neglecting education and standard teachers' advice. The author emphasizes that the protagonist left the school at 13 years old and began to give orders to educated people, despising the principles and standard tips of teachers. He also claims that the school kills creativity in a person and does not prepare for entrepreneurship. The author puts forward the idea that money is more important than education and knowledge, which leads to giving from teachers and peers. He preferred to think on his own and despised the principle of, we need to do it because everything is done. In addition, he hated the word, I can't. If it was necessary to achieve something from him, it was enough to say, I don't think, I think. What can you do this? When the teacher said, if you do not get good marks, then you will not achieve anything in life, Mike and I ironically raised my eyebrows. We often answered the second question that money did not values, and if we study well, everything else will apply. The more we learned about the power of money, the more we moved away from teachers and peers. Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki. This error of the author can lead to an underestimation of the importance of education, standard tips of teachers and principals, as well as insufficient training. To the life and career of education and neglect of the standard advice of teachers can lead to problems in the future, and the idea that money is more important than education can lead to irrational financial decisions. Do not neglect the education and standard tips of teachers. Strive knowledge and development. Do not ignore the importance of education in the formation of your career and personal growth. Idea 102. Improper understanding of assets and liabilities. The author claims that assets are what brings income and liabilities what takes money. This is a wrong statement that can lead to an incorrect understanding of finance and investment. Assets and liabilities in accounting are determined differently. Assets are resources, control over which it brings future economic benefits, and liabilities are obligations or debts of the company. Confusing these concepts can lead to serious mistakes in finances managing. A passage from the book. The Rich Dad told us, the asset is determined not by words, but in numbers. And if you do not learn to understand numbers, you can never understand what the asset is. In the accounting business, he repeated, the numbers themselves are important, but what they say to you. Rich, you need to read and understand the numbers, he often said. More than once, he often repeated. The rich buy assets, and the poor and the middle class are passives. Explanation. The author confuses the concept of assets and liabilities presenting them as something that brings or takes money. This wrong understanding can lead to incorrect financial decisions and investments. Council of Society. It is important to understand the correct definitions of assets and liabilities in order to avoid mistakes in finances management. It is recommended to contact professionals or study independently to understand the basics of financial accounting. Idea 103. Money cannot bring happiness. The author claims that money cannot bring happiness, that rich people suffer from fear and neurosis even more than poor, and that the lack of interest in money is as unnatural as too strong attachment to them. Money can be given the opportunity to buy material benefits to ensure safety and comfort, but they are not a source of true happiness. This can lead to the underestimation of the importance of financial well-being and healthy financial habits. It is important to remember that money can provide material benefits, but true happiness and satisfaction come from the inside, from spiritual and emotional well-being, self-development, and other aspects of life, which are not less important than financial viability. Idea 104. Disadvantages of real estate investment based on long-term loans and speculation. The author encourages the use of long-term loans for investing in real estate based on speculation and hope for rising prices. This can lead to serious financial losses and debt problems. Excerpts from the book. So, for the first time, selling the house, I returned $2,000 borrowed. My own money did not participate in the transaction. Consequently, the payback coefficient of investment, ROI, is infinite. During the second transaction, upon resale, I would put $2,000 in my own pocket and would receive a new debt receipt for 30 years. These excerpts show that the author encourages the use of debts to invest in real estate and speculation on prices rising. He offers a strategy based on the resale of real estate in order to make a profit without his own investments. However, this approach can be dangerous, since the real estate market is subject to fluctuations, and in case of price falling, the investor may encounter serious financial losses and debt obligations. Counsel to Society. Investing in real estate requires carefulness and financial literacy. You should not rely solely on long-term loans and speculation in the market. It is better to study the market, develop an investment strategy, and count on a stable income, and not on quick profit. Idea 105. Propaganda of risk and losing as a necessary element of success. The author claims that it is necessary to take risks and lose to achieve financial success. He gives examples from life where victories follow defeats. This approach can lead to undesirable consequences, such as financial losses, stress, disappointment, and even bankruptcy. The promotion of risk without proper analysis and planning can be dangerous. This approach can lead to the fact that people will rush into risky situations without proper preparation and evaluating possible consequences. This can lead to serious financial losses and negative consequences for their life. Counsel to Society. Before making a decision on risk, it is necessary to carefully weigh the pros and cons, to analyze possible consequences, and have a clear plan of action. You should not blindly believe that losses are inevitable on the way to success.